Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dova Levin, and I'm the Senior National Director for Patient Education at the Senior Gravis Foundation of America. Today, we have Picnic Health with us, and they're going to be talking about the power of medical records and MG research. Our speaker is Ashanthi Silva, and she is a professional patient advocate who is passionate about collaborating with underrepresented communities in healthcare and research. She uses her strategic communications and health expertise to empower and engage patient voices in the rare disease space. She currently works for Picnic Health, a real-world data research organization connecting rare and chronic disease communities with accessible opportunities in research. We just want to thank our sponsors for the research webinar series, our national presenting sponsors, Alexion, Argenx, and UCB, and our national sponsors, Horizon and Janssen Neuroscience. I am going to turn it over to Ashanthi, and she is going to begin her talk. You're on mute.
Every time. Thank you so much, Silva. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate being here. It's been so wonderful to partner with the Senior Gravis Foundation of America, and it's been a great partnership. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. If we can go to the next slide, that would be wonderful. I'll share our agenda. So this is the agenda. I'm going to explain a bit about who Picnic Health is and what we do, and then why it's important to access your medical records, and how we're actually helping advance myasthenia gravis research today with medical records. And as always, please ask questions. There will be Q&A at the end, so ask anything ask any questions you have, and anything that I don't have the answer to, I can definitely get back to you. And for now, I'm just going to drop the link to our study in the chat so you can see it as we're going through. Next slide, please. And we'll just do a brief overview of Picnic Health. Next slide, please. So here you can see, Picnic Health's mission is really to help people impacted by chronic and rare conditions, help them access their medical data, and then use that data to transform their own care, and be able to use that data to also then transform research. So we were founded in 2014, and you can see here, that's a picture of our founder, Noga Leviner. And at the time, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and she was a patient herself, seeing multiple doctors across different hospitals, seeing multiple specialists. And like many of us, she just grew increasingly frustrated with the lack of efficiency in the healthcare system. It was hard for her to even obtain her own medical records and share them when she wanted to. And I personally, when I talk to communities, I like to disclose that I am a rare disease patient myself. And I have also had to order multiple of the same expensive lab tests because they have just been very difficult for me to track across systems over time. And it's challenging to even remember. So because of this environment, Picnic Health was created. We really want to help you get your records back into your hands in a way that's easy to navigate, and help you be a more confident advocate for yourself when you're at the doctors. Next slide, please. So why is it important for you to have your complete medical records? Next slide, please. Really, accessing your medical records can help you be a better advocate, especially given the nature of myasthenia gravis. We know that it's really a complex condition to manage. So oftentimes, this is what it looks like. You're seeing multiple doctors in different healthcare systems. You are getting imaging done that you can't even see when you log into your MyChart. Your medication regimen can change over time. And sometimes when you have flare-ups, you may be experiencing multiple symptoms. And if your doctors change by chance, it can be challenging to even access those previous records. And then it's a lot to remember yourself. When it comes to rare diseases, we all know that there's just an extreme lack of research. So it's up to patients to become the expert. So this is why we really encourage people to try and take control of their medical records and make sure that you can access imaging and everything you need in one spot. And doctors, we know that doctors don't always call you with the results of your labs and your testing, and sometimes they may not even understand them themselves. Next slide, please. So we are a technology company. At the heart of what we do, we offer a platform that's called the Picnic Health Timeline, where people can get all of their medical records from their doctors in one place, and they can easily share it with their medical team to make sure everyone is staying in the loop. So when you sign up for our research study, which I'll talk about later, we do all of the work of collecting, organizing, and digitizing your records. So this includes your doctor down the street who maybe still uses a paper-based system, or your out-of-state specialist that you have to visit as well. So you don't have to sort through hundreds of pages or try to keep your own notes and keep everything in a binder. And if you have any questions about this, I'll provide my email later, and I'm happy to show you a bit more about how it works. Next slide, please. So when we talk about real-world data research, what is that, and how can it help advance myasthenia gravis? Next slide, please. So real-world data, or RWD, is a relatively new concept when it comes to research. It's recognized by the FDA now as data that provides information about a person's health status. It can come from a variety of places, and that includes electronic health records. So Picnic Health started to invest in real-world data research so we could leverage the important information that was being collected for people in their medical records and help researchers and advocates really better understand the full picture of what it's like to live with different conditions like MG. So this kind of research, it's different from a clinical trial. We want you to see what's happening out there in the real world for people impacted by conditions like MG. And specifically, we're looking at, how can these medical records actually be used in MG research? We can use data, de-identified data from this research to help doctors better understand the total burden of what it's like to live with the disease, including symptoms like fatigue and pain. And we can use it to better understand treatment patterns and efficacy of different treatments in the real world, and help us better understand, again, quality of life. What does that look like? And when we decide to do research at Picnic Health, one of the key components that we're looking for is a community with a large need that can be met by this specific research. So we know in MG, there's still so much to learn, and people can experience difficult side effects like fatigue and pain, and real-world data research can help address this. So we're excited to have a program in MG because we really think that we can uniquely make an impact. And as an example, so you can understand how this works a little better, our technology can abstract and structure narrative text, which presents a unique opportunity to collect more information about MG treatments and symptoms. So this narrative text, it's doctors' notes that aren't often captured in research. We can use that it's valuable information though about what's happening to you and how you're doing. So we can use that in research now with real-world data. Next slide, please. So everything I've just said, this slide is really just to help you visualize that. When you go to the doctor, it's not only incredibly meaningful for you and your care team, but it is also meaningful for research. In your medical records, there's information about what happens to you in the real world. And when we look deeper into medical records, researchers can really use it to help them understand this full circle picture of what it's like to live with, manage, and receive care for MG. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is our real-world data research study in myasthenia gravis. It is community-driven research, and we help connect your story with researchers and enable you to share parts of your de-identified health history to help find answers that can't be found in clinical trials. And sharing your medical records can really help fill in some of these missing pieces. At this time, Roche is one of our partners in this myasthenia gravis research program, and we'll be helping look into the efficacy and treatment patterns of different therapeutics used in MG. and to hopefully better understand the overall quality of life for people impacted by MG and why different treatment patterns may be used. So if you want to sign up, we've done our best to make this as accessible and easy as possible. It takes around 10 minutes and you can do it from home. So as long as you receive care in the US, anyone with an MG diagnosis can join. And for those who cannot sign up for themselves, we do allow care partners who have the power of attorney to sign up on that person's behalf. And there's no restrictions here. We know that the MGFA has, a wonderful registry. We know there's other clinical trials out there in MG. We want you to be able to participate in everything that you want to. So you can participate in this and anything else you'd like. And when you sign up and we confirm that you do have a myasthenia gravis diagnosis, you will get access to the Timeline web application for free. And we do value your participation. So for each person who signs up, you'll receive $100 in compensation. Next slide, please. So again, your participation in this, it can have just a really powerful impact. You definitely have a story to tell, and each person living with MG, it's a different story. We know that it's not, all the same. Each person can look so differently in how they receive care, how they're treated, and what they may be experiencing as symptoms. So we're excited to, use some of that de-identified data to really collaborate with vetted research partners and advance research for MG. So we're looking to recruit participants either living with MG or for someone with MG, caring for someone with MG throughout the rest of this month in April. And when you sign up, you may also be asked to complete optional paid surveys as well. Next slide, please. So this is very important. This speaks to the ethos of our company and mission and our commitment to really protecting those who participate in research. To protect your data, we use military-grade encryption to keep your medical records safe. And that's the same security technology that banks would use. And it's often higher protection than what hospitals even use. We are HIPAA compliant, and all of our studies are approved by an institutional review board, which is in compliance with FDA regulations. And we are committed, again, to the security for our users and advancing research for the public good. When we work with research partners, we do de-identify all of your data and you're given a unique identification number. I do want to make it clear that we never share your entire medical history with a research partner like Roche. What we would do is take parts of that data, de-identify it, and mix it along with other participants' de-identified data and group it together. So we take parts of the data that may be relevant to answer a researcher's question and share it that way. So it's highly unlikely that we can look at a specific data point and trace it back to you. And we're also committed to representative data and accessibility and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we do these presentations and we partner with community organizations because we want to ensure that the MG community is aware of these opportunities. And you can withdraw at any time. Your data is yours. So if you want to opt out, you absolutely can. No questions are asked, and you will still get a downloadable PDF of all of your original source documents and medical records for you to keep. We just wouldn't be able to update anything because you'd no longer be part of the program. Next slide, please. So this is, again, sharing the same kind of information, just in a different way. But it is just very important. We do like to drive home that we are committed to transparency in our research practices, security for our users, and advancing research for the public good. And just again, if de-identified data this is what it is. We remove all personally identifiable information before we share it with researchers. Your data is never shared without your explicit permission. So when you sign up, you have to give your consent to even participate in the research and get access to the timeline. Next slide, please. And these are just some quotes of some of the people who are participating in our current MG research program about how the timeline has helped them. But you can see from Chelsea's quote that she was able to eliminate the work and the stress of managing her records which allowed her to actually focus on her care and herself and her living. So this is one of the most important things to us. It's one of our top goals, that you can actually better manage your care and stay on top of things so you have room for what's important to you in your life. Next slide, please. And I'm just going to take a minute or two for the next slide, for this slide and the next one, to show you what research can come out of this. So multiple sclerosis was one of the first cohorts that we launched. And some of the insights we gained with research partners included journey mapping of people's experiences with MS from preclinical stages all the way to post-diagnosis and treatment. This is our longest standing cohort, and partners here included Genentech, Atara, and we're hoping to capture this kind of data for MG. And next slide, please. Lastly, as an example, you can see this 2022 study that we did last year, and it was presented at the European Hematology Association Hybrid Congress on the most common and burdensome clinical manifestation in sickle cell disease. Authors included Picnic Health, Johns Hopkins University, Novartis, and Genesis Research. What was very exciting was that, to the authors' knowledge, this was the first time that we saw documented use of physician notes, so that narrative data that I was talking about, complementing structured data to really show what's happening in the real world with sickle cell disease. So we were very excited to share this back to the community and our participants in this research, because they truly were trailblazers. And I'm hoping that this inspires you to see how you can help transform and accelerate what we understand about research for MG and what we understand about living with MG. And I think it's just an incredible opportunity to kind of do something that's a little novel. Next slide, please. And I just want to show you, lastly, some examples of why your story matters and how it's important in research. These are some of the people that we've worked with across different conditions, rare conditions like sickle cell disease, as well as multiple sclerosis and Alzheimer's. We really value working directly with communities, sharing their stories, and making sure that their voices are heard in research. Next slide, please. So thanks again for joining, and please do let me know if you have any questions. I will, drop my email as well in the chat. And if there's any questions, you can let me know.
I have a couple of questions. Thank you so much. This was very, very enlightening and very good to hear the explanation of how it all works. So we want to ask where the data goes. So once you receive it, can you just explain, okay, let's just say you get 100 patients' medical records. What happens from there?
So, sure. So once a person signs up and, we do have data, there's only select teams across Picnic Health that can even access that data. It's very secure. And then when we're working with a research partner, like Roche in this case, we would work to identify what questions are they looking into. So here we're looking into the efficacy of different treatments in MG, as well as some quality of life questions. So our epidemiology team and clinical operations team would work together to abstract, de-identify all data, and then abstract those data points together to see, and then send it to our research partners to show, okay, this is actually what's happening, and this is how this data point can help answer that specific question.
So they actually go in looking for the answer to a specific question?
Yes, yeah, we work a lot with the real world data teams of these research partners. So we're working with the real world data team at Roche and looking to address what questions they have. And with our own epidemiology teams and things like that, we're able to look into, okay, these points of data might actually help answer that research question. And then we work together like that.
Great, thank you. This is a little similar question, but I'm going to ask it. How does the data inform researchers? What information are they trying to glean from the records?
Absolutely. So I'll just be specific to myasthenia gravis in this case. Again, we're looking to understand how treatments are being used in the real world. So outside of a clinical trial setting, when are doctors prescribing certain treatments? When are they stopping them? When are other treatments used? Just so we can understand, what that pattern of care looks like for patients living with myasthenia gravis. So that's one use case, and then we can also look at it to understand quality of life as well. So, for example, when I showed the sickle cell disease study, we were looking at emergency room visits and what that looks like. So it's really unique things that you can capture that you wouldn't just see, like if you're participating. Clinical trials are amazing, but there's some things that you can't capture when you step outside of that setting. It's a very controlled setting. So we're through real world data research, we can help capture that.
And when if a patient gives you their data, gives you access to their data today, do you then continue to access their data, or do they have to give you permission to continue? How does that work?
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you sign up, there are consent forms. So we have to, one, confirm that you do have a myasthenia gravis diagnosis. And then two, you must give your consent. We're not just like randomly going to get your data without telling you. You must sign those forms and give your consent to participate in this research. So, once you give your consent, what you're consenting to is not only participating in the research, but saying, yes, Picnic Health can, once you give the name of some of your doctors or the clinics that you've gone to, Picnic Health can, on my behalf, call those doctors or clinics and get my medical records. So we can upload that to your timeline for you, so you can see everything in one place. And you're able to share it with whomever you like. So that's, one thing, that's how we're using the data for you. Create your timeline, ensure you get records into your hands and your imaging without having to pay. And then again, we use that data by de-identifying parts of it to share with researchers.
So if I share it with you today,
yes,
in a year, will you go in and retrieve it again? The new records?
Yes. So anytime you continue to go to the doctor or an ER visit or wherever, you can choose, there's an upload button on your timeline where you can click upload and request us to draw those records for you, and we'll continue to update your timeline. Okay. So it's a very easy process.
Okay, we have a question from an audience member. I saw on your website that there is a charge for ongoing updates to my medical record if not participating in research. If I sign up for an MG study, will there be a time in the future when I am charged?
That is an excellent question. I really appreciate you looking into that and asking that. So yes, Picnic Health started as a pay for service for just us to collect your medical records. And we do still have paying customers. And we know that paying, $40 a month actually is a lot for patients or care partners to be able to afford a service like this, which is why we chose to create these research programs that actually helps cover the costs so we can provide this service for free. When you participate in this MG research program, you do get the timeline for free. Our research tends to, I can't give you exact dates of when you would no longer be able to access the timeline, but our research tends to span, I would say, 2 to 5 years, 2 at the least. So you can continue to get access to the timeline for free. Once the research ends, you would have to pay for the service. Yes. But if you, at the very least, if you don't want to pay for the service, you would still be able to download all of the records, all the original source records that we had collected for you to have.
I see. And if someone withdraws, do you keep the records?
So we do keep the records, but again, that's accessible by only a handful or less of people at Picnic Health who are looking into that. And we if we're not working with a research partner or doing our own research, they're not touched. And again, they're secure as well.
Well, I think people are going to have more questions when they rewatch this, and we may get a lot of questions in your email from us. There's no more questions right now at the moment, but we really appreciate you taking the time to explain this to us, because it's certainly something we haven't seen before and very exciting. So thank you very much. And this will be available on our website for people to view afterwards. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Bye-bye.